Welcome to Wolf Brothers Podcast. We're here. I'm here in Kansas, here with my brother Jake in Taiwan. Jake, how we doing?
Doing good.
Doing good, dude. We got some preseason going on. We got the Wolves cooking the Nuggets with our B team. Shout out to General Soreness,
I mean,
Jimmy
we
Buckets.
did lose, but yeah.
Yeah, no, we won. I think the consensus is that our B team played their top 9 and we get the dub, even though we didn't
This is
win.
the second time Luka Garza has almost taken down Jokic by himself.
Oh man, I know Jokic wasn't like trying to score, but I will say the Nuggets are cooked, man. They have no depth.
I don't think I've ever seen a basketball player care less about winning since Randy Foye played for our dad.
I will say my favorite Brady, what a
Randy,
deep.
not Randy Foye. That was a Minnesota callback.
I was like, who are you talking about? Um, I'll never forget when Jokic was. Do you have to see that clip with Jokic on the bench and Dillingham double crossover Hezzied and made the little floater off the backboard, and
Oh
it pans to
man,
Jokic and he just goes hands in his face. It's so
dude,
funny.
Dillingham. He's had some struggles, but he is absolutely electric to watch.
Oh my gosh.
I think he's my favorite player to watch in the NBA now. He is just so shifty. You can see that if he puts it together
Oh yeah. I mean,
and he puts on a little bit of weight, like he could be special because his ability to like wiggle and create separation and just find plays is so impressive.
he is the reason why we're the league pass team of the year. And the stuff he's got to figure out is normal rookie stuff. I mean, the kid is a kid, and he's gonna gain some weight. He's gonna learn some things. He's like the guy everybody hoped. I feel like he's got the potential that everybody thought Markelle Fultz had. Only Markelle Fultz got the yips, but he's got that same kind of shifty crossover. He's so light with the ball, and he got such a quick release. I don't know, everything about it. I just
He
love it.
jumps so far forward though.
I know. It's
He
true.
literally would like win a high jump or a long jump competition with his jump shot. But
Yeah.
you also there was videos of Mike talking to Rob like the whole game.
Yeah.
So it just makes you feel good that has maybe the best mentor in the NBA
Oh yeah.
for his first 2 years.
Tell me, give me. I mean, obviously we love Dillingham. Give me your other preseason because we've since we last podcast, we've had a few preseason games. Give me your overall highlights, lowlights.
So if I had to define this preseason in 3 words, it would be why not Minott. Oh my goodness. Look, honestly, I probably before the season, I probably thought he had less of a chance of getting playing time than Ingles, Dillingham,
Terrence Shannon Jr.
Tishan, um, even Leonard Miller. Like I just thought he was probably around where Leonard Miller was, but down there.
Mm-hmm.
But dude has been straight balling, and I think right now, if we take the Chicago game as an example, he might be our 9th man.
Yeah.
And I think he should be because so they've raved about his offseason, whatever. In the preseason, he has way outplayed any of those 4 guys I've talked about. He's been
Yep.
way better than all of them. And I think if you're a coach, like you should reward that. They always like coaches are always all about this idea of equity of like you can earn a spot if you do. And I feel like you can't just take a spot from any of our top 8. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
proven playoff players. But that 9th spot is really up for grabs. And so I feel like starting out, why not give Minott a chance?
Yeah. No, he's been awesome. I think he was the guy who, we didn't see much of last year at all. We were always like, he could turn out. But all the noise is that this offseason, he was one of the guys who put in the work. And they were excited about him. And then when he had just kind of was one of our best players on the floor this preseason, and the athleticism, the length, he just has a lot of those.
He's probably our second best athlete.
Yep.
Honestly, I mean maybe third if Jaden's so long. I don't know how you count that athleticism, but Minott is freaking bounce. He is a crazy athlete.
I loved seeing Clark body up Westbrook which is also just weird to see Westbrook in a Nuggets jersey. But I love Clark's defense. I'm hoping we can get him in the G League so he can develop some offense. I think he's so limited offensively, but like he's got that weird shark-to-puss defense that anybody has the ball, you're like he's either gonna take an offensive foul, steal the ball, or make it incredibly difficult for someone to score. And I just love that.
Yeah. Oh, I was really impressed. Jalen Clark, like what you look for with these young projects where
Hmm.
you know they're like 2 years away or whatever it is you want to see flashes of the thing that will make them stand out. And he already has a skill that's like, I think, awesome. Like
Yeah.
you compare him to other defensive playmaking guards, I feel like he's up. He just has a nose to like make steals, make deflections, like make things happen. So I think that if he can just become a person who doesn't kill you on offense, like someone
Yeah.
who they can't just totally leave and stuff like that, if he just becomes okay, he's going to have a place in this league and a good career. The
So,
big thing, going back to Minott though, is I do want to temper expectations. Like he's not going to be a 50% 3-point shooter.
yep.
The hope is if he can stay at like 36% plus, then he has a place on the court. But it's such a small sample, you never know how that's going to dip.
Yeah. I'm curious what your take is because you and I have always had anytime Luka Garza goes in the game, like last year, he was awesome. And again, it was usually garbage time. It usually didn't really matter, but he would go in and he wanted the ball, he looked to score and he scored. And I just wonder, like, is he going to get sick, like actual minutes this year? I know that obviously we're downtowns. Um, But do you think he'll actually get significant minutes, or is he just going to kind of be that garbage time guy or very specific matchup guy? Or what are his limitations? Why is he not on the floor more? Because it just seems like, man, the guy can score, he can shoot, he can play a traditional post. Um, what is it that's limiting him?
It's defense. It's his
Yeah,
foot speed. He he's probably better than like Nikola Jokic against G League guys. Like he is honestly unstoppable if he's playing against someone who's not that good. He is absolutely sick offensively, but he's got that game that like just bumping up to that next level of like good NBA players. It really can expose his defensive limitations. Um, I think he's an NBA player. I think he will
hmm,
play, not if we're healthy. I
yeah,
think he'll play though because if Nas Reed or Rudy Gobert are out, we need some more minutes at the five.
yep,
Last year we had Rudy, Cat, and Nas. So
yep,
Luca was only gonna he needed two guys to be hurt for him to enter the rotation. But this year,
hmm,
I think he's above Miller. And offensively, his pick and pop game, I
yeah,
mean, that's really nice to have a stretch big. His offensive rebound, he plays harder than anybody, and his post game is actually like a weapon
yeah,
against certain matchups. So like I think he is a real NBA player. Do I think he's a playoff player? That's more the issue, like against that kind of a or even against the wrong kind of a scheme. Like if he's going against Dallas or something, he's going to get torched. But I think he's like above average for a third big who comes in case of an injury. Because a
yeah.
lot of times those guys are like defensive oriented, but they're not actually good at defense. And so with Garza, we have someone who's offensive oriented, who's actually good at offense, but we're not like fooling ourselves into this guy being some good defender.
We okay. Before we talk about Randall, we got to talk about Randall. Did you watch Randall's game when he played?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
I watched them all.
okay. Are there any other off the beaten path preseason guys you want to talk about that what about T Shan's underperformed to our expectations?
He was fine.
Just can't
Yeah,
shoot right now.
yeah, and it's hard to judge. Shooting comes and goes.
Yep.
I also just think like with where he's at, he's probably best in a more complementary role. Like, I mean, he was the guy who we had take the shot
Yep.
to win, and I think right now he's best as just like a attack closeouts,
Yep.
hit a wide open three, push in transition, and play decent defense. So we'll see. still feel fine about Tishan. He had some good moments. He had some nasty dunks. He had two nasty
Yeah.
dunks, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, it wasn't great from our rookies.
Okay, Julius Randle, because this is the X factor this year for us on whether or not. So the NBA over unders I think have us at 50 or 51 and a half. I think I definitely taking the over on that, but I think Julius Randle's the X factor. Now here's a question I want to pose to you: is Julius Randle a cat downgrade or a slow-mo upgrade?
That's the secret sauce to our team. The secret to our team is everyone's like, okay, we got to get better offensively.
Yeah,
If you look at our on-off ratings without slow-mo, we were like the fourth best offense in the NBA.
yeah,
We got absolutely our offense died with him. Now I think slow-mo was way better than people realized defensively, but he was so bad last year. I don't know if it's due to his blindness, like he literally couldn't see, right?
mm-hmm,
And that led to just an off year. And then also it was just a bad fit because didn't have as much spacing and we were so big. And so that combination of things, he just destroyed us on offense. And Randall plays a lot more similarly, or plays more similarly to slow mo than to cat. So I think that's
yeah,
an apt comparison in terms of play. We're gonna need his playmaking. He's not gonna be as deadly off ball as cat.
yep,
He wants the ball more, and the one difference he has from either of them is I think Randall can provide us a transition push. He loves to grab and go,
yep,
and slow mo and cat were both just chonking up the floor. You know.
yes, yes. Um, I do, I do think the thing about Randall I didn't realize just because I didn't watch him enough was how he's looking to make the pass. Like he's a playmaker. He wants to make that. He has that great kick out. Um, and he's a. I was watching some just clips and some reading some New York Knicks stuff on him. He's a really, really good rebounder. Like we're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna lose a whole lot in way of rebounding with him between him, Gobert, and Ant. Like we're gonna get our rebounds, which was a big concern for us a couple years ago against Memphis. I think um, defensively, it's probably going to be a wash. Maybe he'll be a little bit. He's wider than Cat, like as a person. I don't know that it's going to be that much of a difference defensively. Um, but I do think he needs the ball. He doesn't necessarily like need the ball and it's like a dribble, dribble, dribble kind of guy. But it feels like he needs his touches.
He is a dribble stop the ball kind
Yeah.
of guy.
So that's the thing. That's where I think that's where we got to figure out offensively if it's gonna be a good flow. But I love the kick out. I just wish we had better shooters. Like in our starting five, I just feel like shooting wise, we're all sub 40 now. And that's gonna
No,
be
our shooters are way better. This year we have real shooting.
where? Who?
I mean, think about it. Okay, so Mike Conley
Yeah.
like led the league or was near the top. Dante DiVincenzo,
Oh, I forgot Devo.
the
I don't know
best
what. I can't believe we haven't
volume
talked about
three
him
point
yet.
shooter
He
that
just
we've
hasn't shot
like
well the
ever
last couple
had,
of games. I don't know. It just didn't click in my mind. So
is
he's the
still
ex.
like 39% in preseason because he had some flamethrowers
Everybody,
earlier.
everybody is so high on him right now.
Can I?
Um,
Yeah, can I just say one more thing though before
yeah,
we get to Devo?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is I do think people, because last year our offense changed, it wasn't as two-man game oriented. People
Hmm.
underrate how good Ant and Cat were offensively together.
Yep.
Um, we were when Ant and Cat shared the court, we had like a 119, I think, offensive rating or something. We were the third best offense in the league when those two were on. Um, and they had, that's several points better than LeBron and AD. They were
Hmm.
1 point worse than Luca and Kyrie. They When they were on the court, we had offense figured out. Now, Randall, I think, is going to be totally fine as a replacement for when there's no Ant, like the Cat
Hmm.
only is versus the Randall only. I think that'll be fine. But I do think there will be some growing pains that'll with figuring out Randall and Ant together. But
Hmm.
some of that will be alleviated because we don't have slow mo, and now we have Devo instead.
Yeah. Devo, I don't know why my brain's spaced on him. He is fun. He's got a tenacity. He's got an edge, a bite. He's gonna bring a lot. I think Minnesota's just gonna love him right away.
Dude, he is
Um,
so good.
yeah, definitely very, very excited about him. Um, yeah, I mean, I would say like if you uh ask me like what's my hype preseason hype this year, it's probably higher than it's ever been, and largely because we just have depth. We have guys who our starting five is going to be really strong, and let's go through our starting five. Conley at the one, Ant at the two, Jaden at the three, Randall at the four, and Gobert at the five. That's probably it. And then you've got, but you're going to see lineups where Devo's in there because that lineup in and of itself is the one that's lacking. You know, like we're going to see a lot of these kick out the threes and bricks.
We need Jaden to shoot like he did 2 years ago, not
Yes,
last year.
exactly. We need Jaden to, and he hasn't been shooting great so far, but it's preseason. Um, yeah, we need Jaden to shoot well. But then off the bench, like the lineup is long. You've got Dillingham obviously has got some things to work through, but you've got Devo. You might even see Devo play backup point. I don't know. We'll see.
That's the plan right now, I
Yeah.
think.
And Nah, Nas. Uh, I'd love to see Luka Garza, but I don't know if we'll see a whole lot of Luka Garza. Um, who
Old
else? Who am
man
I missing?
Jingles.
Jingles.
He looks so old, man.
Dude, every time I've seen a pick and roll with him and Gobert, though, Gobert scored. Like they have this weird patient flow, which I love.
Well, I mean, he knows Gobert better than anybody.
Yeah. Um, what else? What are any
Well,
other
okay,
preseason
going
impressions? What's your hype level?
I okay, so my hype, I mean, it's through the roof. I mean, the only thing that changes it is that I get sad when I see things about Cat, wherever
Oh
I see
yeah.
Cat.
Did you see him at
Did you see
the
that video that Jordan Woods posted of him watching the T Wolves while he's at a Billie Eilish conference or
watching
concert
the Wolves
on
preseason
his
game versus the
phone?
Bulls?
Oh,
Heartbreaking.
dude, I
He's such a
miss
good dude.
Cat so
He's
much.
cheering for him. Like I'm glad of all the things, I'm just glad he's not in the Western Conference.
So, uh, I just want to say one thing off of your depth point is I think we have pretty certainly the best 6 through 8 in the league.
Yep.
I mean, Devo, Nas, and Na is absolutely sick for
Hmm.
a 6 through 8. So I think that if we had the same health this year that we had last year, I'd predict an even better regular season record. Um, I don't think we can count on that because I think last year we had pretty good health. I mean, Cat
Yep.
missed 20 games or so, but overall it was a good health.
Hmm.
So my hype is through the roof. I one of the things I loved in this preseason is Jaden. He's been he ran a little bit of pick and roll and stuff, and he's been finding Gobert well. Something that not a lot of our guys are great at, but Jaden's playmaking, I actually think has looked pretty good, and that's one of the things that Finch talked about him improving. So I thought that was really encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm pretty stoked, and I'm also just like really impressed with. You can give I don't know if credits due to Tim Conley or who, but the way we're developing guys, like I thought it was. I texted you last night. Like I can't believe Kate's Diop is 28 years old, or Bates Diop. We drafted him. It felt like the draft ago, but it was many drafts ago. But he's still been, G leaguing it up and um played some minutes last night. I don't know that he'll ever be a meaningful player for us, but like we draft guys and develop them, and um who knows what happens with Minott, who knows what happens with some of these guys, but they could be in that nah role, that off the bench, really good 3 and D in time, and because of that, you're not paying them, an arm and a leg. Um, and I saw online that there was a beer company in Minneapolis, that made a beer called the Second Apron, and it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they printed the
Falling
label on it.
knife.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it's Falling Knife. I think actually I think Dane Moore, that was like his
Is that
beer's
it?
idea for that name. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I'm hype for the only thing that could ruin everything is Glenn Taylor. And I am
Dude, that what's gonna happen in the
th
litigation? That's a good
honestly,
point.
that's the one like the one thing that could ruin everything. Because right now, the future of the Timberwolves, it's not like the spooky Timberwolves where like, ooh, they might be spooky, right? They might actually be good now for the next 7 years. Now, the only thing, well, I said the other thing that always grinds my gears is the Knicks fans who think the whole thing, the Knicks' whole ploy is to get Ant to New York. They're already planting seeds. And that to me, I'm just like, and Ant was asked in an interview about it. And he's like, oh yeah, I'd love to be with my bro Towns. He's my brother.
No, 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 no. That's not what he said.
Yeah.
It wasn't an interview.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
was like right it was during the game, like a
yeah.
fan said it or something. He's like, "Oh, I'd love to play with or like I'd love to play with Cat," but he's just like
I
playfully
know.
responding, diffusing.
Yeah.
It I don't think Ant's leaving. If he did, I wouldn't be worried about New York. I'd be worried about Atlanta. But I don't
Oh,
think he's leaving. He
yeah.
I I'm just saying like why would he go to New York?
Yep.
He's all like it's 2024. You
I know.
don't need to be in New York to be famous. That's so stupid.
I know.
Like
He's got like a
nobody cares.
great
The
house in Lake
internet is what
Minnetonka.
matters.
Even like Towns, it's been like he's like already missing. Or it was Randall. I was reading about Randall. Like they did an article about him, and he just is like so amazed by all the open space and the
Well, he's
lakes
from
and
Texas, so
yeah,
he's more used to that. I don't think him or his girl loved what was going on
hmm
in New York.
yeah. I'm just saying, Minnesota might be the new LA, New York, especially once LA's underwater. Statue of Liberty, all that's left is the flame.
Wait, wait. Once, once under?
Statue of Liberty,
Did you say when LA's underwater?
and New York.
Okay. Oh, so when New York's underwater.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. When
okay.
they're both
I was
underwater.
I was confused. I misheard what you said. I was like, do you think the Statue of Liberty's in LA, Matt?
No, no, no. Uh, they're both been underwater. Anyway, um, I had one other big thing I wanted to hit.
We got to talk about the starting five.
Oh yeah, we do. All right.
I haven't
Okay, so
finished it.
oh well, you haven't gotten to the best parts then. Here's my confession. I started watching it, loved the end of the first episode when they introduced Ant, right after LeBron goes, I don't even know what LeBron said, but then you hear the start of the Ferrari or the car start up, and then Ant comes in the picture, and it's amazing. Great introduction. And then as I was watching, I found myself just not interested in some of the other guys. And so I fast forwarded to when they play the Suns because it's such a great moment. And it was like episode 8. So I watched 8 through 10 and 1 through 2, and I missed all the middle ones.
I think you should go back, Matt. I think
Okay.
it's worth it. I
Okay.
okay. So I just got to where they beat the Suns,
Uh-huh.
um, which was amazing.
Yeah.
But I will say the cast for this is uneven.
Yes.
Their Ant brings so much energy, and then some of them it's like they have respectable lives. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh wow, you like your family, but
Yeah.
it's like I'm watching a video of like I don't know, the most normal like they try to like really play like oh it's not like we just have kids and we go home and play with our kids and then oh it's hard to be an NBA like they just don't have aura or Riz like it's so dry when you compare that then it goes to Ant
I
and
know.
Ant's a freaking maniac.
Yeah.
He's like he acts
Absolutely.
like a high schooler, like he's immature but also so lovable and
Yeah.
fun and wild and like he just has so much charisma. He's
Yeah.
it's I will say Butler is an interesting person.
Butler has that the X
I have
factor.
maybe my least favorite player, but he deserves to be in this because he's really interesting.
Yep.
The tough thing with him, I still think it was good television, but you had to go through like the death of his dad and
Hmm.
then his injury. So his parts were a little like more
Sad.
somber
Yep.
sometimes. Um, and then LeBron, it makes sense because it's LeBron, and you know his girl is good on it. But Domas and Tatum especially,
Oh, so
man, Tatum is
cringy.
so boring.
I
I'm
know. And it's
sorry.
like
He just it's so boring.
he is the worst one. And I think it's not fair to him because I think he's trying to play into this like NBA superstar persona, but he just isn't that person. I remember the first interview I ever heard with him was on Bill Simmons' podcast. I remember thinking that was the most boring, dull interview I've ever heard. And yet Tatum's an electric player. Like he is so flipping good at basketball. And he's an NBA champion. And none of those guys except for LeBron are that. So it's like, yeah,
I'm
but
not criticizing
no, I
Tatum.
know. I
I'm
know.
criticizing the producers for thinking that this would make
I
one of the
know.
best
I'm
choices. What
sure.
about Halliburton?
I'm sure that they,
Halliburton would have been electric.
oh yeah, I'm sure they thought because of, the Celtics success, but Brown would have been more interesting.
Way more interesting.
You
I
know what
mean,
they
I
should have
don't know.
got?
They look Brown would have been amazing, but I don't know if they would have the guts because of some of his like
That's
political stuff. He's
that's
pretty
why
polarizing.
you get him. Get
I agree, Matt. I
Kyrie,
agree.
get Luka Doncic, get
Luca would be a
Jokic.
blast. Joel Embiid, Jokic would be hilarious. I would
Joel would be
kill to see that
hilarious.
on Jokic. There are so many better options. I feel like the only thing that's interesting about Domas to me is his dad. I love Arvidas. I love,
Yeah,
but yeah, Domas and Tatum. It's like there are just so many more engaging, exciting personalities, and like it should have been obvious. I think like go to Reddit. Everybody knows that Tatum's strength is his play, being a good like all around teammate person, whatever. But it's not great television.
I agree. Well, I I think they should do it again, but do it with Ant. And my top five would be they could do Ant, Kyrie. I actually think Durant would be interesting if it, because he's an interesting guy. He's single. He's kind of doing his thing. He's controversial and like he I don't know. I think he'd be interesting. So I'd go Kyrie, Durant, and his like twilight year.
Durant has soured on the media. I don't know if he
I
would do it.
know that's the thing, but I'd want him in mine. Um, and then I would go if we get Doncic, I think that would be amazing. And then my fifth, man, I'd love to have Towns, but think of all the
I'm
zesty
telling you,
interviews.
yeah, I would love Towns. I'm telling you, Hallie is so
Oh
good
yeah,
on a
he'd be great.
microphone. He would
He'd be
be
great.
awesome.
Yeah,
He just
I don't
you
know.
need someone like Hallie or Edward Ant, one of the people who's not so freaking media trained.
Yep.
Like people get mad at what Ant says because he doesn't answer like a robot. He just says
Hmm.
what's on his mind. Like
Yep.
I really respect it. I don't have that like the guts to do that, but I think like that's what makes someone fun.
You know who would be boring, and I'd be really bummed if they did? Is Giannis. It'd be boring. I
Yeah,
feel about
Giannis is
Giannis
just
the
a
way I
little
feel about
corny.
Tatum. And then I also think the other one I thought would be kind of lame was Wemby. Wemby's one of the coolest NBA players, but his interviews are boring. They're too media trained. I don't know.
Yeah,
These are my takes.
yeah. Wemby's interesting because like we're still not sure like what planet he was born on. Like I think there could be a good like more of like a investigative
Yeah,
journalism podcast, like a
yeah.
crime pod. But yeah,
All right. Well, hey, I have a meeting I got to get to, but this is good. Quick pod. Preseason first game against the Lakers is going to be epic.
let's go.
Bronny versus Ant. It's gonna be a
That's the marquee matchup.
yeah. It's gonna be awesome. So, shout out to Ant's baby mama. Shout out to Ant's kids. Shout out to Towns in a New York Knicks uniform. Shout out to Spike Lee. Shout out to your Luca and Luca Garza.
Oh yeah,
No shout
my
out for
Luca.
Doncic though.
My Lucas started spinning the ball on his finger every day.
Let's
So he's
go.
getting started.
Let's
Five
go.
months.
And shout out to Why Not My Not. Thank you for joining the Wolf Brothers. Can I get a